2 races to go before we eliminate the first 4 drivers in the High Tide Racing League MFRD Premier Series playoffs. This is your setup round as we enter the middle portion of the round of 12. Welcome to upstate New York and welcome to Thunder Valley. My name is Ola Rample alongside Derek Watson. We're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Derek, it's the last race in January for the High Tide Racing League, and it's the last road course race on the season as well. Lots to talk about entering this one. Lots of playoff dramas. Going to be some big shakers, some big movers. Some drivers going to be going home upset with championship hopes dashed, and some that might have those hopes revitalized.
Yeah, you got to think as we get to the last January that maybe some drivers had a New Year's resolution of winning a High Tide Racing League championship. Well, if you don't perform well at this road course tonight, that may not happen. Look at the map here. One of my favorite road courses on the NASCAR schedule. 2.42 miles. It's 72 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And look at this beautiful NASCAR version of the layout we're at here up in upstate New York at this facility. I'm looking forward to this, and let's take a look at the points. Lots changed last week, Nolan. Remember a couple storylines we followed. We thought Ty Maraska was going to be a start and park because he wanted to watch the Ohio State national title game. He went from start and park to second in points.
That puts him only 3 points behind Dalton Kilrow, but critically, it puts him 15 above that ever-important cut line held by David Lakey. Now, we were talking at the end of last week, if Michael Thorpe Jr. could bounce back with a new system today, he could still fight his way into the championship. That hope has been dashed before he even gets it off the ground. He is not going to be able to contend for racing action this afternoon, being forced to take a start and park. Desperate parts that he needed did not come in on time, so Thorpe finds himself on the outside looking in. And it's looking like for the second season in a row, Michael Thorpe Jr. is going to be left wanting for a championship.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You and I discussed a couple possibilities of what Thorpe could do and how long hopefully he hangs on, and we'll see what happens. I mean, again, you know, we thought Maraska was a start and park last week, and look how that turned out. So we'll wait and see. But up and down, I mean, right now, the cut line, you know, Benjamin Lacey, John Osborne did not participate last week. They're both here tonight. Bob Berry, you know, had a very blah night, so he needs to perform well. So it's weird to think that Michael Thorpe, you know, depending upon how so many people road course race, could be okay. This is a real wild card in the middle of this round, so we'll wait and see here. But man, action's already moving on track with the qualifying and the warm-up happening, and I'm excited to get this thing moving green.
One driver to keep an eye out over the course of the afternoon is, of course, going to be big-time competitor Benjamin Lacey, the driver of the Real Earth Films 75 Racing number 7 Mustang. Was not able to make the start last week at the Auto Club Speedway, and now he finds himself with a chance to still race his way in. Now that some of his biggest competition is going to be on the outside looking in. So this is not game over yet for that number 7 car. He's got a chance this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has a chance because, again, this is road course racing in a NASCAR vehicle. Not everybody's great at it. In fact, truth be told, you know, probably not that many people are great at road course racing in a NASCAR vehicle. And so you may find yourself surprised here in any race you're in with these vehicles about who does and doesn't perform well. And this is a real, you know, shakeup here. Here's Jaden Hopp, by the way, someone who is doing well. The Arizona native will start on the pole. One of only 2 drivers to turn a 1:12 time in qualifying. In fact, I think the only driver who did it in practice. So Jaden obviously very comfortable. He's going to abuse the curbs here. This is our warm-up period. They get one last chance here to make it happen. And
one last chance to get yourself sorted with everything you need in order to make sure that you can have a good race this afternoon. Other drivers taking to the racetrack like Dustin Ping, Scott Shire, all trying to get themselves with a good run. Bob Berry, another driver that we're going to be taking a good look at. He could be a driver that finds himself in a critical position, but with Thorpe being out, he'll move up at least one spot. So we'll see what Bob Berry is able to make for his race here this afternoon as well.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. And Bob's going to start towards the back of this field. He did not put a qualifying time in, did not get a time set, so he's going to start basically dead last. And his time on the practice was not stellar either. So we'll wait and see how Bob performs in this race and what he can make of it. I hope Thorpe sticks this out a little longer than he thinks he's going to, as I think he may be able to pass a couple cars that have some unfortunate endings early on in this race.
Who knows, right? It could go either way as, well, warm-up action going to continue on for the next little while. So what we're going to do, we're going to take ourselves with a quick step away. We will tune things into our opening ceremonies. And then when we return, it is going to be your starting grid with 18 cars getting set to take it off from Thunder Valley. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. Checker flying going to fall on the 10-minute warm-up session, and with that, it's time to take a rundown of how everything's going to be lining on up this afternoon. 18 cars, 9 rows. We'll take off from the pit straight in just a few moments' time. Started on pole position this afternoon. You got none other than Jaden Hopp sitting on top at the moment. Benjamin Lacey, big playoff contender, right now lining it up just beside him on the front row by 1/10 of a second. From there, it's a half-second jump back to points leader Dalton Kilroe. Dustin Pink starts his race in 4th. Ty Marasco is back in 5th with Ethan Sikorsky in 6th. Brian Dees is in 7th. Michael Keithley is in 8th. And closing out the top half of the field is Sean Williams and Craig Martin.
Moving back into P11 is David Lakey with Scott Shire on the outside in P12. Then John Osborne and Michael Thorpe Jr. 13th and 14th. Thorpe, the first person not to set a time or have one set. Then it's going to be Jonathan Canfield, Michael Ashmore, Bob Berry, and Robert Lukens rounding out an 18-car field here at the Glen. Well, Nolan, a couple interesting things to follow here, and we'll talk about some procedures of this race. First off, we've talked to the admins throughout the day, minus the competition yellow, which we'll discuss in a second, unless this race has a full track blockage, preferably on the start or on a restart. There will not be any caution flags this race, so you have to keep that in mind. Wow, there's Michael Ashmore. Michael Ashmore's decided to start from pit road. That's an interesting choice.
An interesting choice, but unlike the last season he competed in, he was not a factor in the championship in season number 3 here. So I think he's just trying to, take it easy, take a step back, and let the playoff drivers fight this out amongst themselves. But you mentioned there's not going to be really any crashes or incidents unless we get a massive bottleneck down here. In particular in the S's, that's going to be a huge trouble spot for drivers this afternoon. But there is going to be one this afternoon.
Yeah, they'll have a competition yellow after the leader crosses the line at the end of lap 13. They're going to gather the field up, and then the drivers can make a decision about pitting for gas or, bunch the field up or whatever those drivers decide to do. And then from there, likely it's green flag racing all the way through here at the Glen. We are on the back straight at Jaden Hopp there on the, I guess the driver right side. It's almost hard to use the terms inside and outside here, Nolan. We're used to using those, every week in the High Tide Racing League, but on a road course, inside and outside is really corner dependent upon, what is what.
Ashmore not the only driver that'll be forced to start from pit road. Scott Shire finds himself down now for the 12th place starting spot. His game has crashed, so he's attempting to make his way in, but, well, there's 2 spots already that Thorpe's got a leg up on.
And the good news for these drivers, for Ashmore or Shire, since there is a competition caution, this is not the end of the world, right? Unless you're in, I mean, when I say incredibly slow, I mean like, you know, I don't know, a minute slower or something per lap. You're not going to get lapped in the first 13 laps of the Glen. Like, the laps are too fast. They're not going to gain that time on you. So those drivers are going to get a chance to get on track to do what they need to do, and then they'll be ready to go for the second part of this race. But all right, well, Jaden Hopp has been the star of the show for the past couple weeks, Nolan. Let's see if he can do it again on a road course.
We're going to make our way down the road in towards turn number 7 this afternoon. The setup round for the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Premier Series underway. It's go, go, go from the Glen. And a great getaway from Hopp down to turn 1.
Well, Hopp definitely has the run here down to turn 1, otherwise called as a 90. He's going to track it out to the left here, and a couple cars up above the line, but everything's good up to the S's.
All good up to the S's for the time being. Jaden Hopp getting away well with the lead of this race. They are side by side further behind between Keithley and Sikorsky. That's the battle for 8th. It's going to get itself single filed out as we hit the back straightaway. All the way up towards turn 5, the inner loop. No drivers brave enough to make lunges into the bus stop.
No, not brave enough to do that, but you got to be brave to get to that bus stop correctly, Nolan. The way you took that dig into that corner on the entrance is a brave thing. But here we go, up through the carousel, down onto the long back street. This is what makes the NASCAR version here, because in road course racing, you take a little left-hand turn there and go up through the boot. But here comes Hopp now. He's going to get down here into turn 6. And man, look at that gap he already has on Dalton Kilroe as he hits turn 7. Boy, he's already, I mean, what, over half a second, almost a full second ahead at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, Jaden Hopp is moving right now at the end of lap number 1. We jump back to the field. Ty Marasco was on the outside looking in. He's trying to fend off Dustin Ping. Ping looking to the inside, gets the nose in there into turn number 1. And Dustin Ping should be able to secure that move up in turn number 2 here. And there's Thorpe. Ready to the starting park. He is now out of this race.
Yeah, I kind of hoped that Thorpe was maybe going to run it out a little bit longer and kind of see if any other drivers had some issues, but he's having some real tech issues, and obviously he's doing the starting park to make sure he has some points to carry to next week, but unfortunate for him to have that moment happen. Well, everyone's single filed out here, and that's one of the keys of this road course in my mind, Nolan, is besides these straightaways, so it'd be the front straight, I guess the back straight before the bus stop, or this long straight here out of the carousel. Side by side through these corners is not always a safe move up through the S's or into the bus stop or out of the bus stop. So you really have to set up a move here and be ready. But single file is what we're going to see pretty much all night long.
Pretty much, right? Single file racing is the norm at road course races like this. See, Brian D is getting a little bit up and over those lifted curves there. That's the thing to watch in of itself. Those curves can just rip one of these cars around if you're not careful enough with it. So Marvel Studio 17 continuing to take things off down the road to turn number 1. Just behind them, Sikorsky and Keithley separated by 0.3 of a second. This year's the fight for 8th between 2 non-playoff drivers.
Yeah, this said Sikorsky and Keithley here. Of course, Sikorsky had I guess you call it a hard battle last week, maybe an ill-advised battle, but had a chance to talk to him. He said, hey, we talked it out, we're good. We were just both racing heavy and kind of got hot-headed. As far as he's concerned, everything is done and buried and, kaput, so to speak, if you will, between himself and the driver he was racing last week.
So far, no moves really being made for positions since the end of lap number 1 with Dustin Ping, though we will see one here. Sean Williams slipping up in the middle of the carousel, forced out wide by Keithley, way out wide and off the racetrack. He'll rejoin, and that will allow Sean Williams to maintain that position from Keithley, though kind of abusing track limits a little bit to do so.
Yeah, the good news for these drivers in the High Tide Racing League is there is no track limit penalty. So we can talk about track limits, but if we want to ride on ball of the car here, we can sort of talk about the track limits and maybe make a full lap here. But it's not an issue here. So now we come down to turn 1. Some people will call it the 90. So the track limit is basically up here to the left on that curving. So if you get more than 2 tires up there, that's an off track. And you're going to come down here into the S's. There's really no way to get any kind of off tracks here If you do, you're in the bigger trouble because that grass will suck into the wall and you'll have a big problem right here. So we come up out of the S's down into this straightaway. This is out of basically turn 4. From here, you're going to get ready to get rolled up here at the bus stop. You could get an off track here if you cut the bus stop a little too aggressively, mostly on the exit right here. Now here's the one that's up for debate. This is the one that a lot of drivers do not like. We're going to come through the carousel here, and you're going to make this big runoff here up to the left. Look at how these cars are doing that. Technically, this could be considered an off track. NASCAR does not think so. NASCAR almost encourages drivers to get up there and get a run. And then down here in the turns at 6 and 7. And up there on the right, there is a certain limit of track you can use before the off track kicks in. But again, in this league, that's not a problem. But here is the problem that's in my head, Nolan, is that with this new model that iRacing introduced about, 3 weeks ago now, there's a point of having too much car damage to where iRacing says, hey, you know what? It's not fixable. You're done. Call it a day. We'll see you later. And I think there could be a world where maybe a driver abuses those off tracks, maybe scrapes a wall, hits a wall, does something ill-advised, and is told to park their car.
It's a real possibility. It's something that drivers have got to keep in the back of their heads now, which is it's going to be a constant discussion all the way through. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, they do have a do they have a fast repair for this race? I think they still allow them to keep that for the road courses. I know they had one when we were at the Charlotte Motor Speedway's road course early in the season.
Yeah, and so the challenge there, they do have it as far as I know. The challenge is making sure you have it ticked on. Some drivers want to leave it ticked off so you don't use it by accident. And if you get to pit road and iRacing says, hey, you're done, and your fast repair isn't ticked, or isn't checked on, is probably the better way to say that, then you can't use it. So probably something to be aware of for the drivers here in this one. But all is clean so far. Everyone's doing a pretty nice job on track as far as getting around here. And again, Jaden Hopp is really just crushing this field. I'm impressed. But here's John Osborne. Osborne did not race last week, so he came in here down in the points, Nolan, and he needs to have a strong night here. Currently running in this field back in P11. He needs to have a better night than that probably if he wants to secure spot. Pardon me, I got excited. There was Michael Keithley turned around.
Michael Keithley finds himself facing the wrong way out of turn 1, and this is why and how. Whoa, huge look around Sikorsky. Drifts wide, just gets into him and turns himself into the Armco.
Yeah, I would love to watch the cockpit view of that. Obviously, he rode up really hard. Maybe he was going to the corner faster than Sikorsky was. I'm not sure. Watch the hands on the wheel. Did he ever really get it rolled up here? He actually did. I thought maybe that car was going to bobble the whole way through and just kind of be out of control, but I think he just, after he got it saved, I think he misjudged the car on the outside, honestly, so he will drive away slowly. Sikorsky drove away with minimal impact as far as I can tell, and all stays green. Working lap 7, about halfway in before our competition yellow. There's a car on track. That's Scott Shire. This is not anywhere near a scheduled stop.
Well, and I think he has had another technical failure, just like he had that caused him to miss the start of this race, because we tried to get a look on what happened to him, and he was nowhere to be found on the racetrack. So I think he had another issue where he potentially had some major packet loss, maybe had to stop on track, take a tow somewhere, which is why we see him now down in pit road, and that's going to effectively put him out of the game now as well, because he's now going to be 2 laps down.
Well, that'd be interesting to think about, because, I mean, you're right, he would already be scored a lap down. He would get one of them back on the caution, because he's going to be, so far at least, he's the only car a lap down. So the lucky dog would grant him that wave around. But you're right, still a lap down here. I mean, who knows what happens in this race, but you're right, that's going to put him way, way far behind the 8 ball. But here's Ben Lacey here. He's doing a great job. Got Dalton Kilroe in front of him. He's got Dustin and Ping behind him. In a way, this feels like a 3-car race for second. It feels like right now that unless there's a game going on, unless they know that they're just conserving more, you know, a tire or more car or more whatever than the leader is, these guys are effectively racing for second.
And you can see both Lacey and Ping have been faster than Kilrow the last 3 laps as well. So they have been closing in quite rapidly. In fact, the last 4 laps, the trend continues. So Kilrow is losing pace after he tried so hard to keep up with Jaden Hopp at the get-go.
Yeah, you know, who knows what's really going on here. I mean, there's a couple long straights where you can gain time by sitting behind Dalton Kilrow, but we're not going to talk about that like we would at a super speedway. But I just wonder if or when Lacey and Ping are going to try and make the move, or if they're like, hey, listen, you know, we're 4 laps now from a competition yellow. Why are we going to push the topic, right? They may just be happy sitting here because, again, this is all getting reset. This is basically like an in-race warm-up, if you will, for these drivers.
Jaden Hopp has been leading from the very start of this race, coming across the start-finish line. Curious on the lap time variations, and still Lacey and Ping both quicker than Kilrow, continuing to close in the gap. So this is going to be a battle that is continuing to close throughout the course of this race. There was an overtake attempt. Osborne trying to get around blowout competitor David Lakey. This came in the middle of the carousel, and that came as a result of a blink out for the 84.
Yeah, a little bit of connection problem there, but here we come back live. By the way, not only is Dustin Ping faster than Ben Lacey or Dalton Kilrow, he turned a 1:13.746 last time. He is faster than our leader, Jaden Hopp, who turned a 1:13.822, pardon me. So, I mean, Ping is the, you know, I believe the fastest car on track total and last time by. He turned a 1:12 earlier in this race. So maybe Dustin Ping is just lying in wait and wanting to see, you know, what comes of it later.
It's a very valid strategy, and it's a strategy that we have seen used in the past at very, oh boy, way off the road there for Ping, but
never mind.
Yeah, that's a strategy that we've seen used before at road courses, right? I mean, you just pace yourself, you watch your opponent, watch what they're doing, try to find the weakness, and then you start probing later on in the game. Michael Keithley takes a spot up from Bob Berry.
Yeah, and by the way, that thing that happened to Ping right there, that's an example of why road course racing is so dangerous. Let's watch Michael Keithley here, though. Bob Berry swings it way wide in the carousel, and then Keith says, oh, cool, I'll just slip right under there and make that happen. So now we're back to the front here, but that moment for Dustin Ping, that's really the danger of road course racing, right? One small iota of a concentration break, and you're off track here at a road course. I mean, you know, this isn't even the worst of it. There's a couple of good spots on this track where you kind of could break your concentration and be okay, but, you know, compare that to like a Sonoma or a Coda where it's this, you know, white knuckle all the time. There's Bob Berry turned around. He is backing it up. This is back in turn 1. I think if we find out, he probably just overshot the corner and could not get on the brakes in time. Watch the replay here. Down into turn 1. That's Keithy in front of him. I guess, yeah, just really too much speed in the corner. Probably didn't get wood up soon enough and couldn't get the car stopped in time. The car came out from under him. And there was a couple drivers, even Jaden Hopp, our leader, told me tonight, he thought the goal of this race tonight, Nolan, was keeping the rear tires under him. He said, if I can do that, I'm probably golden. But he did say those rear tires, they like to come out from under you.
They sure do. I mean, you got to remember, right? We're wrangling, what, 600, 700 horsepower just about, well, it might be 550 in these B-class cars. But the point is, it's a lot of horsepower being sent straight to the rear wheels. No track control, no stability control, no anti-lock brakes or anything like that. It's just straight horsepower. And, well, these cars on these types of road courses, they have the aerodynamic properties of a brick. So you got to rely on that grip a lot.
Yeah, you got to be very patient with the gas pedal here. That's what typically makes a good road course racer in these vehicles. And it's interesting in a way, though. You know, typically I talk about how I think these Xfinity cars are the hardest of the 3 NASCAR vehicles to drive on an oval. On a road course, I don't think they are, actually. I think these are probably first or second in line. The truck is the worst, in my opinion, of the 3 cars to drive on a road course. So maybe a little easier day up here. There's David Lakey, man. He is hopping that curb in dangerous ways. You get up on that curb at a bad timing, and you might not live to tell the tales about it. But here's David. Continue to have a little bit of internet problems, but luckily for him, John Osborne just being very patient about it.
We are starting the final lap as well. And a pass for second. Round the outside goes Benjamin Lacey into turn number 1. Just made that look easy on Dalton Kilrow there.
what I like about this here in a moment, watch his passes as we come up here out of this moment. Oh, Kilrow let him go. That's not even I mean, it is a pass, but
I don't think he did that. I think he slipped.
Yeah, either he slipped or he let him go. I mean, that was not the hardest pass ever for Penn Lacey is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I should say I like that moment. As I thought Ben Lacey was maybe using this last lap as a experiment. Here, this is Dustin Ping. Dustin Ping is all over the back end of Dalton Kilrow. He is making his presence known. He is trying to see what can happen here. But here we come down to the end of the lap here. Once Hop crosses the line, about 2-3 seconds later, the caution will come out. But Dustin Ping, that's a great move by Ping. He wants to see what this car has for the white flag later.
So to the end of, I guess you could call it stage one, although no points are being awarded. Jaden Hop out in front, and there's battle for second through fourth coming across the start-finish line. So we will be getting that, oh no, sorry, this is the final lap. It's the end of 13, my apologies.
Oh, hey, look at that, we can't count. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, okay, never mind, we'll do it again. But Dustin Ping is all over the back end of Kilrow. I'm starting to think that Kilrow may be slipping. Here comes John Osborne down pit road.
Now this is interesting.
Yeah, this is an interesting call. What he's hoping for, I guess, is that other driver's going to pit under yellow, and that he can sort of, you know, undercut, overcut in a weird way. I think is what he's thinking. I'm not sure. I would have waited for the caution probably, but to each their own.
I think he's thinking, you know, I pit one lap earlier. Tires are surely not going to have that much of an impact here. We were talking about before, right? You don't tend to change tires in Gen 4 racing here. John Osborne did take 4 tires, though. So he'll be on fresh tires for the restart now, and potentially could jump the field if everybody comes down to pit road under this lap 13 top yellow. In fact, Jaden Hobb thinking the same thing. He's also in a pit road. Benjamin Lacey will pick up the win in, well, quote-unquote stage one.
Yeah, we're gonna call it that. There's the yellow right there. So, I am stunned by the Jaden Hop move. Doing it at the last second. Wow. All right. Okay. So let's watch this here before we do anything else. I want to see if the tires come up here. Typically, in the NASCAR tire models, the warmer tires are better than the colder tires. He is changing tires. I suspect a story to watch here will be how these two cars react on cold tires. By the way, we're now being told from race control that Hop was not supposed to pit here. So there may be a penalty incoming for the quote-unquote closed pit road. So we'll keep an eye on that as the caution's out. The leaders are trying to catch the pace car. That in and of itself is a battle.
Well, with all of that said and done, Benjamin Lacey trying to pick up the leaders. Michael Thorpe Jr. has been patiently waiting to give us a bit of a chit-chat here. He mentioned he was going to come on up here and kind of talk to us a little bit after the stage, but it's a tough break for Michael Thorpe Jr. on his championship hopes.
It is. It's a tough run. So, Michael, obviously tonight you're second. I guess last week wasn't a start and park. You really tried to race it out last week, but man, you got to feel really behind the 8 ball, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing I can do. I mean, when it comes to tech stuff, there's not really anything I can do. I mean, I'm up pretty 100%, but just when I get behind on the tech stuff is just so much out of my control.
Yeah, I mean, the tech stuff is something that's very, I guess, unique to sim racing, and I guess we see it in real life. You saw it all weekend long in the Rolex Daytona 24, but so next week you kind of get one shot. So next week, is it just all out racing next week to make sure you lock it in?
I mean, we'll see. I'm really not really sure, but at least until the park gets here. But other than that, I mean, once it does get here, I'll be back 100% and ready to go, fire it out.
I guess we're okay to say. I mean, you and I've talked about it privately. You're basically waiting on a new hard drive, right? Like basically, that's where we think the tech problems lie. Correct?
From what I learned and from all the source and from what I've seen on the computer myself, is the source of it.
Well, dude, I wish you nothing but the best next week. We'll be sitting here watching and seeing if you can lock in the playoffs. But good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That's Michael Thorpe Jr. start and park here tonight, Nolan, at the Glen due to some tech problems. So, all right, well, everyone's caught the pace car, and I think now we'll see who is and isn't going to pit here. I mean, gas is a concern. I guess that's why I would pit here under caution. Would be put more gas in this car and, you know, limit my green flag pit stop, but we'll see what happens. Are some drivers willing to stick it out, knowing everyone has to pit again? Is everyone going to give up their track spots? Here's Ben Lacey down. We saw Kilrow coming down. I guess this is going to be a pit party right here at the Glen.
Sure will, as pretty much everybody coming on down to pit road. Benjamin Lacey leads the way in. So far, everyone is in. Jaden Hopp, the first one to stay out as expected. John Osborne still trying to catch the tail end of the field. He's going to have to hustle here. He could actually find himself on the back foot here, not getting that big jump up the field like he was hoping for. But there's Hopp. He retains the lead of this race. He's going to have one lap older tires in terms of actual race conditions than a lot of other drivers in the field now.
Yeah, I'm watching here on pit road to see what happens with some of these cars, and I've not seen some of these cars lift a tire yet. I just saw Ben Lacey drop there, so it looks like maybe tires is the call for these drivers, but you're right. With the way the cautions work here at this road course, I mean, John Osborne is really struggling to catch the pace car here with the way the Irishing does it.
Critically, though,
oh, hold on, sorry. Breaking news. I'm sorry. What me cut you in? Dalton Kilrow speeding on pit road.
Oh,
speeding.
no.
Black flag, Dalton Kilrow. He's just confirmed speeding.
And that's going to be an end of the longest line penalty. That's a big uphill battle he's going to have to climb now with no guarantee on getting those spots back.
No, luckily for him, he currently comes in tonight as the points leader. So he'll have that little bit of cushion. But yeah, if for someone who was really doing well, you know, running up with Jaden Hopp or what have you, yeah, that's going to be a big, big penalty.
While we are under the caution for the first and likely the only time tonight, we're going to take ourselves a quick step back. When we return, it's the remainder of racing action here on Green Flag TV. Stick with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Quite a few shakeups in the field as we get set to go for the restart. Jaden Hopp is going to be forced to come down pit road for a pit road speeding penalty on the caution here. Sorry, for closed pit road. Benjamin Lacey, first one out of pit road, has also been sent to the tail for speeding, we believe.
Yeah, it is speeding. He told me, I went and checked with him, said he thought pit road speed was 45. Turned out it's 40.
Oh,
so, yeah, small difference, right? But yeah, I mean, the more interesting story, Jaden Hopp's going to get a penalty here under green. That's the bigger one. And then Kilroe and Lacey back of the field. So this front of this field is going to look a little different. It's going to be Osborne, Ping, Marasco, and Sikorsky, basically your top four once we go green.
Pace car is into pit road. Green flag is back in the air. Racing action resumes from Watkins Glen International. Good launch there from Osborne. Hop twitches the tail end out. He'll be sent wide in turn one. No, Osborne's been spun into the wall. Marasco takes the lead.
Wow, remember we were told unless it's a track blockage, no yellow. That's not a track blockage, so we're going to say green here. Ty Marasco is going to take the lead here. But here comes Ping on through. He wants to make a move. And boy, well, we need to wait for the replay and see what happened. But right now, Ty Marasco is in a catbird seat. Nolan. He came in here only a few points off of first place in the points and now leads this race. Watch him into the bus stop. Still too wide at some points. Oh, no. Ben Lacey spun around.
No! And Canfield and more. Craig Martin's off the road.
Wow.
Lacey's around. Canfield's around.
Well, for what turned out to be a pretty mild first 13 laps, all bets are off here on this start. And I think this is going to be a factor of cold tires. There's a topic we saw all weekend long in the real life at Daytona and the Rolex 24. And I think it's rearing its ugly head right here. But let's start at the beginning. This is the start. Watch Osborne on screen left here. There he is on the bottom of the screen now. Does he get tapped by Ping?
Yeah.
He does.
Just got
More than a
dumped.
tap, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. There's some
On
police
board with,
departments you can use that for a training video. Watch this.
On board with Dustin Ping.
So Osborne's going to get up here. He's going to slide up through the corner a little bit. And
Just ran him over.
Yep.
The only way you can describe that.
I mean, you can see Ping tried to lift a little because obviously he lost some spots there in the moment, but just not enough. And then there's some more calamity that's going to happen here. This is down to the bus stop.
Oh, boy.
Is that... I couldn't tell if that yellow car was hit first or if he just came up and swiped clear and took out Ben Lacey. Watch, there's the yellow car on screen left.
Just locked it up.
Oh, he locked it up. Yeah, he just took out Ben Lacey from the back end, and then he spun into the 16, got nervous. The 16 of Jonathan Canfield just got nervous and locked up the brakes really hard.
And
Spun himself around.
Canfield slowed it down. Probably would have had a miss. Got hit up the backside as well by one of those other cars in the midfield. I believe that was Sikorsky that hit him as well. So just a big mess all around on the restart there. But, well, now we've got more cars that are now double file. Here comes Dustin Ping on Sean Williams, and Jaden Hopp is taking his drive-through.
Yeah, so here comes these drivers right here, and all is good for the 89. Stays up there. Got Ethan Sikorsky behind him. I was going to say, before all of that calamity happened a little bit, Nolan, I thought that maybe Hop, getting up in that banking on the top of that turn one was a good news for him. He allowed him to get to the back of the field, and then all hell broke loose. Well, for Dalton Kilroe, by the way, this was all good news because Dalton Kilroe also started in the back. And look where he is already up to P8 due to all the calamity.
That whole mess has fractured your playoff field something fierce as a result.
Yep.
And again, not through really any fault of a whole lot of drivers here, except for obviously those that, did the running over. This is going to be on board with Sikorsky on the incident towards the bus stop chicane.
Watch here and see what's going to be from his point of view.
Lucan, sorry, was one that hit him.
And then he hits Canfield. Canfield checked up, and he did not. So there's that moment. Here's the real odd thing to think about in a way, Nolan. Obviously, right now, Osborne is still on track. Lacey's still on track for the moment. In a way, you could sort of argue that the biggest beneficiary of that whole mess is Michael Thorpe Jr. Michael Thorpe would love for those guys to finish towards the back of the field and not put too many points on him. Oh, there's a car way off track. That is, we talked about off tracks earlier. That is definitely in the off track areas of 98 of Michael Ashmore. But Michael Thorpe has to see that right there as a good sign that some of those drivers, playoff drivers, are now in the back of the field.
Critically, it's two of the playoff drivers that were behind him, but he's still going to get jumped here a little bit. I mean, it's not impossible the way it stands, right? I mean, I'm going to try to pull up the points on a different screen here, but so Thorpe had 2,030 points entries today. He had to get up to 2,032 if he wanted to be tied, and then win it on countback with David Lakey. The cars behind him, Barry, who's in 10th right now, and then Benjamin Lacey, who had 2004, and John Oswald with 2001. Right now, Thorpe's big issue is he's going to be entering the eliminator race. I'm predicting about 15 points down on what he needs. So he needs to have a picture-perfect race. He's not out of it. It's going to be a tough ask for him.
Yeah, but 15 points is way better than where he could be, right? I mean, we'll see where these guys finish and what happens, but it could have been way worse. So we'll need to see how all this plays out and everything. But right now, Ty Marasco is positive. There's Canfield again. This time's out of turn 6, turned around. And that car may be hurt, by the way. You can't get rear-ended like that, like he was, and not have some handling damage to that car. Gets up here in turn 6, and that car just came around on the back end, maybe carrying too much speed through the corner or got on the gas too soon, and around it went.
Justin Ping opening up the door on the MFRD #1 of Ty Marasco, and Justin Ping to the point. Marasco out wide, trying to hang on to the exit of turn 6, coming up to 7 and 8. It's a drag race down the chute and into turn 7. Marasco maintains the lead. Here comes Ping trying to go for a crossover.
Well, obviously there's no damage to Ping's car from that contact with Osborne earlier because he is having a great run here. But right now, if you're Ty Marasco, this is a moment where you might have to make some decisions live in the moment as a driver. You need to figure out what's more important, fighting Dustin Ping for the win and possibly something going bad, or laying back and running second and possibly taking the points lead. Now, you can take the points lead if you win this race, but this is a risk versus reward kind of conversation, Nolan.
It 100% is a risk-reward type of situation, and that's the risk management that these drivers are having to rely on here, as Canfield going off again at the same corner, but this time keeps it at least pointed the right direction. But it's risk management, right? That's how a lot of these road course races are decided. So you got the battle for the lead, you got a battle for 4th, and then a side-by-side fight through the S's. Osborne right now is thinking about how much spots he can make up rather than the risk of going for it.
Yeah, that's what he's got to think about right now is what can he do. And of course, Osborne, as you said, didn't race last week. So right now, it was way back in points and maybe not the best night ever here. So he's really got to think about it. Here's the 17. This is Brian Dees with that iconic Marble Studios machine. Look at this hurry he's in right hand. We talk a lot about how these things, oh my gosh, shuffle out. There he is side by side with Michael Keaton in turn 7. There's a lot of cars, but that's what Dees, Kilrow, Keithley, I think David Lakey might be in that herd right there. According to Matt Malone, I think this would be a gaggle of cars on the racetrack.
And it's a gaggle that is not looking to settle itself anytime soon, as we have passed the halfway point at this point in time. Robert Lukens, interestingly enough, has just come down the pit road.
That is interesting because, I mean, I think everyone here will probably have to make a stop again in this race. No one's going to get all the way to the end, I don't believe, on gas. So now this is a question of when do you want to do it. Let's see what he does here. He pulls it in, and, I mean, there's no penalties for him. So let's see if he just gasses it up or what he does. He might just want to be off cycle. He does put left sides on it, and I believe now it's putting right sides on it. Boy, oh boy, this is definitely early, but hey, listen, maybe his hope is he comes down pit road, he gets out there alone and runs his race and doesn't have to worry about other people's lines, other people's braking points, and maybe he somehow, pulls off an undercut kind of move. Boy, oh boy, there was a car way off track. Who is that? That's the 94. That's Ethan Sikorsky.
And now 3 wide down the front straightaway. Brian Dees round the outside, goes 2 for 2. Picks off Kilrow, picks off Sikorsky. Brian Dees fights his way into 4th. What a great move.
What a weird move in a way. Like, oh, hold on, Sikorsky.
Oh.
Wow. Holy crap, that car was out of shape. But I was going to say, what a weird move to be 3 wide at the grid. You and I are about to pack our virtual bags and basically live at Daytona for a couple weeks. That's where you'd say 3 wide. We were 3 wide at the Glen? No. Like, look at this. There's Kilrow on the inside, and Sikorsky in the middle. That's Brian D's on the outside, and Sikorsky said, "Hey, no, I'm good. I'll back out. I don't need this right now." Now watch Sikorsky. Watch him get it wild to the corner here. Just got way up there, way too fast, and that car almost came out from under him.
20 laps to go at the line. Ping and Marasco still maintaining the status quo. They are now 4 seconds ahead of Sean Williams, 5 seconds ahead of Kilrow and the rest of that battle squad back there. Ping has taken up the race lead, though, this very lap.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a surprise. When you and I watched practice earlier, I mean, Dustin Ping, one of the fastest in practice, I think was second on track in practice. So we suspected this could be coming, but oh, Marasco, I think, just bumped him there in the bus stop. If that was not a bump, that was darn close. Oh, a door slap again. These guys are having at it, man. Watch this again. Oh, that's going to be a replay. That was a replay. So, oh, there's David Lakey back there. Now, here's more pit stops. That's Brian Dees in the 17.
Brian, fuel only.
Good. I was going to say what's interesting, by the way, about the Marasco moves you saw a second ago is he told me he wanted to have a solid race night, you know, be safe and get the points to lock into the next round. Well, if you're going to be bumping through the bus stop, that's not a solid, quiet night at the Glen. That is not advised. But don't, what's that, you know, the thing you see on WWE? Kids, don't try this at home. Do not try bump drafting to the bus stop at home, please. Get yourself protested. Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Man, look at him. Wow.
They're going at it here, and
well, at least Marasco is. Marasco is just driving like a maniac.
Tell you what, this has been a wild race so far. Let's look what happened to David Lakey in turn 1 this last lap by here. As he gets down, and self-inflicted, got a bit of wheel hop going there, I'd have to reckon, and just sent her into turn 1.
Got on the brakes way too hard, got that car, you know, sort of yanked to the left, and then from there, it was all said and done. And, you know, one of the challenges about driving in a road course on these vehicles, Melvin, is your braking points. It is so much earlier than you ever want it to be, right? We all just came out of sports car weekend where, you know, cars can, those cars, the GT3s, the LMP2s, and all those can brake so late into a corner. And these vehicles, I mean, sometimes you're braking way further back than you ever want to, and if you forget to brake or if you lose track of your braking marker, it's hard to recover from that. Boy, look at this up here on this track. There's Kilrow trying to make a pass on Williams here. But the braking markers are the hardest point, because if you miss a braking marker in one of these NASCAR vehicles, it's just impossible to blow this car up correctly.
Dalton Kilrow takes full advantage of that. He's going to pick off the third place spot from Sean Williams. Under 20 laps to go. Ethan Sikorsky, tail of the field, is coming into pit road this time by. So seems like this is going to be a 2-stop race. And now it's just a question, do you take tires or fuel only?
Yeah, we'll see how that tire run works out, by the way. I'm still probably not convinced that taking tires under green was the right call. I just think you're going to lose too much time on the pit stop, and with the way this tire model works, typically you don't want newer tires because of the way it works. I mean, Keithy here's now over the back end of this car. He is just trying to make his presence known here, and I think he's going to over Williams now. Of course, Michael Keithy, oh my gosh, cutting the grass here. That is, talk about aggressive, Nolan. Whew.
And he may have gotten a slowdown penalty from that, because you notice how much he's backed off in the carousel here. You got to be very, very careful about that. iRacing can be, the line's a bit fuzzy as to how much you can cut that grass there in the bus stop before you really get yourself with a penalty for cutting track limits there. Robert Lukens, the next one to pit road, and this is for a third stop on the day now.
Yeah, this is a lot. This is some, and I'm interesting, and I'm so curious about this, Nolan, because like this is someone who you and I pointed out to ourselves was doing pretty well in practice. I think P6 on the board in practice, and typically someone who's pitting this often. Although that was a quick pit stop. Did he get to take gas last time? Maybe I don't know, but wow, someone typically who's pitting that often on a road course is not having a fun time or doing well. That did not appear to be the case for him. So Unsure what's going on there. Here's Michael Keithley again, now back through the straightaway into the bus stop. And he does better that time. Does not mow the grass, did not pick up a side gig, making money. And now is just back all over it. But look at that. The impressive part here with Michael Keithley and the confidence booster has to be, as you said, IRC made him slow down. They made him give up some of that time that he would have gained, in theory, from cutting the grass. But despite that slowdown, he is still all over the back end of his opponent.
Just fly all over the tail end of him. Craig Martin was in pit road. He is just leaving pit road. He took 4 tires and fuel for his second stop of the afternoon. So Martin gets back out onto the racetrack, and this battle for the 4th place spot looks like is going to end up being the one to watch. Now, we've talked a lot about, you know, how these races could pan out. Having a playoff race being a road course race, and only one, it's an interesting choice, and it's one that quite a few leagues often try to go for to kind of shake things up a little bit. The next race we go to is Atlanta Motor Speedway, but it's the old 2008 version as well. That's going to be a wild ride for an eliminator round, for the round of 12 here.
Well, and it's a very wild ride. I'll give you a, oh my gosh, speaking of wild rides, Michael Keithley had that car flapping around like a goldfish right there through the bus stop. That was, man, oh man, these guys are just all over it. But I was going to say, I'll give you a small preview of next week. Those cars, these cars in old Atlanta, it's a wild ride. I mean, it's the setup can go from loose to tight, back to loose really quickly. That's where the iRacing officials were last week. So I'm hoping some of these drivers were able to get some practice in live, but it's going to be interesting next week at the Legacy Atlanta layout. There's more cars down pit road. That, I believe, was Dalton Kilrow we just saw coming in. He used to give up 3rd place to come down pit road. By the way, Kilrow, kudos to him. Speeding penalty under caution. Got the penalty to fall in the longest line and back up to P3 before pit stops.
Benjamin Lacey, another driver that finished in 3rd place last time we ran at this racetrack. He was 50 seconds off of the leader, but hey, 3rd place is still 3rd place. He is also in the pit road for a second stop. He is also taking tires. So looking like another 4-tire stop is going to be the general consensus for most. Right now, Lukens is the only one that is taking fuel only.
Yeah, and the hope for Lukens would be that, you know, the less time he would have spent on pit road and not taking tires, you know, what is the delta there? And what is the time spent on pit road, and can he make it up? And that would be the question. But yeah, this is our tightest battle right now on the track. But at P2, Dustin Pinksy on the left side of your screen now pitting. So you see all the names here on the left side. So Pinksy can give it up and leave Marasco out here all by himself. So now Marasco has nothing to worry about. Here's Kilrow now going around Bob Berry.
Had to pass a few laps ago. This was for 8th. Brian Dees getting around Bob Berry.
This will be out of the S's, I believe. Watch this down this straightaway. He's just gonna, yeah, wow. It's almost like, it feels like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, it feels like maybe Bob Berry doesn't have the confidence in the road course, and he might just be letting people by to stay out of the way. I mean, the way that Dees got around him, that's not normal speed.
So I don't hate that idea from Bob Berry, in all honesty. He's got a lot of drivers behind him right now that are on the outside looking in. Right now, Thorpe is out of the race. He's overtaken Thorpe, got himself into 9th. Same story for Scott Shire. Right now, provisionally, Bob Berry is on the final bump spot. He doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Or frankly, to jeopardize someone else, which is sometimes as a driver, when you're not good at a road course, that's almost what you're more worried about, is not being in the way. Now, as you and I both know from covering lots of road racing and doing some road racing of our own, the problem with not being in the way at a road course is somehow you oftentimes just end up in the way, right? And that's what happens here. And here's pit road. This is Keithley and Williams pitting together. These guys cannot separate, by the way, for whatever reason. But you and I both know that when we're doing road courses, we tell every driver, be predictable, right? Run your line, make me pass you. When you start moving lanes and you start kind of giving up time and lifting and doing all this stuff, somehow you end up in the way, and things can go bad really quickly.
And it's a
Wow, look
long
at that
stop for
keeping.
Williams. Oh no, Williams might have a black flag here.
Checking. 1 second. I do not see any on the board, but he is sitting there forever unless Keithley just did. No, that's a normal pit delta for Michael Keithley.
30
I don't
seconds
know.
and increasing.
Yeah, it's an odd thing to sit through there. Well, might want to check his entry in here. Watch this.
Yeah, that'll be speeding.
Yep, there you go. That's a great call on the camera work there, because that's speeding. Remember, as we learned from Ben Lacey earlier, only 40 miles an hour down pit road. And while that may sound fast when you're going through the streets here in your hometown, when you're on a racetrack, 40 is like, a baby crawl compared to what we're doing down these straightaways. Look at that, even Sikorsky way out wide. And there's your leader, Ty Marasco. So this would basically, as far as I can tell, this basically completes the pit cycle, I do believe. I think Marasco, pardon me, was the last one. So this is it. So when Marasco comes out, and boy, look at that. Look how much time Dustin Ping gained right there. Because, I mean, he's already down through. There's pit exit just right there. There's Marasco, and he is pulling away.
Now the problem is he's got his teammate right behind him, but Marasco still has to get his tires up to temp here if he wants to be able to be competitive.
Well, more importantly, the problem he has here, not only is that his teammate, that's the man fighting him for the points title. That's first and second place in the points right there. I thought Marasco was going to have a great points night after Kilroe had that black flag, but Kilroe has answered the call amazingly, and now Kilroe leads Marasco.
And to be fair, Marasco does not need to get the points lead. Likewise, Kilroe does not need to maintain the points lead. They just need to they just need to stay in the top 8. They could be in 5th and 6th of the points. That's still enough to move you on to the next round.
I mean, that's true. That's very, very true. But you'd love to lock up whatever you can here tonight. I mean, they still might lock it in. We'll wait to see how the points look tonight and who can do what and who stands where. But boy, for Marasco, there's some small problems for Kilroe. But if you're Marasco, in a way, I wonder what this does to your morale as a driver. I mean, you basically were the leader after the restart due to all the calamity and all the shenanigans. You must have thought, hey, Kilroe's in the back of the field after the penalty. Now when he comes back and passes you, man, that must... There's no way that's not defeating in some ways, right? When a driver comes back from probably what had to have been I don't know, 11, 12, 13 on that penalty and passes you for second, that's got to be defeating. I'm sorry, like, it is, but I mean, lap by lap, though, Kilroe is a second faster than Marasco.
And critically, Dustin Ping, despite being on older tires, is pulling away from both of them as well. So the Ping Precision Auto Glass number 81 Camaro has been on a very, very solid tear this afternoon, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. Ping could potentially be going for yet another race win, and this would be his first in 2025 and in season number 3.
Yeah, and what a morale boost this would be for him. We used the word morale earlier. Well, look at this. I mean, walking away for the moment, over 3 seconds of a lead here, and last time by, he was 0.3 of a second faster than Dalton Kilroe. So that lead's only going to grow at this pace here.
Throughout the week, there's a lot of action coming on up on Green Flag TV. Tomorrow night, the Ole Miss Royal Cup Series, hoping to bounce back from what was an unmitigated wreck fest at Phoenix Raceway. They're going to be running out to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for a 100-lap run. The Beer League will be having their exhibition race over at Summit Point Raceway this week. You got yourself 12 AI F1 cars, and then everybody else is going to be running the shorter layout in Volkswagen Rallycross cars with no track limits. So that'll be interesting. Is all I have to say on that.
That's a choice.
You know what? It's their off week. They're going to do what they're going to do. They did a hill climb race once. It was something else. The SRA IL Truck Series then is at Homestead Miami Speedway on Saturday, and then on Sunday, the SRL Xfinity Series has their season opener at Daytona International Speedway. New spots coming on for the season, Purple Haze Auto Sports. They'll be sponsoring the Sunday Night Cup Series when we go racing it for 120 laps in the Sunshine State on Sunday night.
Somehow you use that D word, Daytona, and I'm like, man, I'm excited, but I'm just gonna live in the broadcast booth. You and I just might as well like bring some sleeping bags and a cot, you know, and
right.
just stay there. I mean, I know that we've got a couple leagues going there, we got a couple of broadcasts going there. iRacing Top Split broadcast in my case will be there. So you know, on top of whatever racing we do on our own, if any, like, oh man, that's. Ooh.
What section of the grandstands are you going to be setting up shopping?
I know something covered. Tell you that. In case it rains, I'm somewhere covered. Like, boy, oh boy, that's what I always love watching people when they do the 24s as audience members and spectators. So here's Bob Berry. Speaking of spectator, he's along for the ride, and that's gonna be a race. That's got to be, I would think. Oh, well, he's gonna hit ball. Oh, no, you got it caught. And right now, he's still on track. I'll be honest with you, the way that car hit that wall, I was concerned that iRacing may have just said, hey, call it a day. Watch this. He's got loose, got up to the curbing, got it sideways. And that was that dark smoke. I am
Well, he's got a fast repair. He took the toe.
Oh, the fast repair. That's right. Yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot about those. But going back to what you look at this. Here's Marasco, by the way, all over the back in the Dalton Kilrow. These guys are teammates. They're battling for the points battle. Now, you made the point earlier about they don't need to battle hard. They can both lock in tonight. When's the last time you convinced a race car driver to not battle hard and battle for the points lead? Like, that's like telling a dog not to bark. You know, just good luck with that.
0.2 of a second between the pair. At this point, if I'm Kilrow, I'm letting Marasco go. Trying to go for a team win this afternoon. Dustin Ping is pulling away. You're clearly not catching him. Marasco's all over the back bumper. Let him by, and let's unleash the guy that's got some of the freshest tires in the field.
Yeah, I mean, right now, last time by, Marasco was about a 1/10 of a second faster than Kilrow, but I mean, they're both pretty far behind. They're both at least half a second off of Dustin Ping. It really feels like unless Dustin Ping has a bad run here, that this is the Dustin Ping race to win.
Here's the lap comparisons between Kilrow and Marasco the last time by. Marasco actually losing a 10th there, but he kind of got a little bit held up behind him. But yeah, look at how much he's been gaining, especially on laps 35 and 37 here. Now again, all over the back bumper. Just nothing doing right now for Kilrow. Kilrow not allowing his teammate through.
Yeah, and what's interesting about how this is going, and why it's kind of fun to watch this.
Oh,
but,
there we go!
My God. There's Ty Marasco just tried too hard to make up too much time in the corner. And the difference there, it's funny enough, it's about to hit my point, and Marasco sort of made it. When I talked to Dalton earlier, you know, pre-race, he told me he was going to race the track and not the cars around him, and that's what happened right there. Dalton was just running his lap. He wasn't worried about Ty Marasco or whatever, and Ty Marasco was racing too hard, trying to race Dalton Kilrow, and it's got in there a little too late and spun it around. Well, that now locks up second place, all things considered, short of a bad run for Dalton Kilrow. So it's going to be Dustin Ping, Kilrow, and Marasco still has 8 seconds on Ben Lacey. So he's still going to finish in the podium most likely. We'll wait and see though. Actually, there's Ben Lacey in the camera shots. Maybe not. Maybe this is our new battle.
1.4 seconds between the two, and there was 8 seconds at the end of the last lap before he made that huge mistake. But this has brought Benjamin Lacey right back into the podium question here. Lacey has not had the season that I expected him to have. I expected him to be all the way up at the front, fighting for a lot of these spots, but it's been a long time since he's been on the podium. His last podium was at the Pocono Raceway all the way back in November. So he's on a 6-race streak right now. Currently, he's on his 6th race in that streak of not being on the podium. He has started on the podium. He started the podium at Kansas, started there at Martinsville. Both times he finished outside of it. In fact, since that race in November, the only race where he actually came out of a race with a net gain was at Iowa, 24th to 5th.
Yeah, Ben's been caught up in a couple bits of shenanigans that happened on the track in some of these races and things not of his own fault, but right now for Ben Lacey, remember this is an important night. He did not race last week in round 1. He needs to lock up every point possible to help secure himself a spot before next week's race and the finale of the first round. So we'll see here. But boy, we're 5 to go. These laps are cruising on by. We're trending like 113s on the track, 114s for some drivers. So a race here does not take long. I looked up and, oh my gosh, we're 5 to go.
I think we'd be remiss if we did not mention the Nexus Esports driver of Jaden Hopp one more time before the race came to its conclusion as well, right? I mean, one of the fastest car by far in practice, the fastest car in qualifying. He was looking to have a strong race. He was up at the front, but made a bad call when it came down to pit road, was forced to take a drive-through, and he just has not been able to bounce back nearly as much as we thought we were. His pace has kind of dropped off a bit as well. I think his morale took a huge beating with that mistake that costed him so heavily on pit road, and well, now we see him just kind of trundling around in the back.
Yeah, he may be. I mean, a drive-through under green is a hefty penalty. Right?
I say that he just put down a 1:12.91, the fastest lap of the race.
He just set the new fastest lap of the night.
So
he just said that, well, you know, the F1 style, you know, let me get the point. You know, there's not a point here, but in the F1 style, there's that point for the fastest lap.
Yeah.
So they go in, they can't give me the good tires, right? And he just said, hey, watch this. But yeah, that's a good run. But I mean, obviously for Jaden, that drive-through is just a killer. It's such a long penalty. The dip in the pit delta without stopping is probably in the 30-second range. So the fact he's within the range he is, some of his competitors, you know, says something about how his race is going. But here's the battle for Craig Martin and for Williams here, for Sean Williams. Now for Williams, this is holding on to 10th. This is important for him because he's a playoff driver. For Craig Martin, this is just for pride in this moment here. Oh man, that turn always makes you scared. You know what? A lot of times in the car, I think that you feel closer to a wall than you probably really are. There's something about that camera shot and that wall right there. I think I feel closer to the wall when I watch the replays back than I do in the car for some reason. That wall's close.
it is an extremely deceptive corner, and how many times have we seen drivers both in the real world and on iRacing misjudging that corner, right? So many times have we seen wrecks, even in road course racing. In fact, one thing that comes to note on Green Flag TV, the VSCA Sports Car Championships 6 hours of the Glen here, Rising Panda Racing. That race came down to a photo finish for the LMP2 win. They almost lost that because they hit that wall coming out of the final corner on the last lap.
I mean, we've seen it in real life racing in NASCAR where drivers come out there and hit that wall and just basically destroy the car. So it happens in real life too in this moment. But here we go. There's Ty Marasco sitting in P3, and there's Ben Lacey. Lacey is trying to close that gap. I mean, there's still a sizable gap.
Oh, it might get something here.
But watch this here. But right now, Ty Marasco just needs to chill out, calm down, and run his race. It's going to be hard for Lacey to gain, the second and a half or so he needs to gain if Marasco just runs a very calm race.
I got a little bit worried when he came through the chicane. He seriously came close to getting the slowdown there. I thought he did get one for winning. He had two tires into the grass on the right-hand side, no wheels on the asphalt. And I frankly don't know how you could not get a slowdown penalty for that, but iRacing deemed it not to be so. 2 laps to go, though. Lacey's got to find something in the tank if he wants to contend with the MFRD number 1.
Yeah, he's almost probably going to hope Ty Marasco does make a mistake if he wants to get up on the podium here. That's probably where we stand with 2 laps to go and for these drivers. But this has been a quick race for us, but I guarantee you in the car, this has been a workout, right? This has been, this is funny, for them feels like an Ultraman marathon in a moment here.
Pretty much. I mean, it's hard to think of it anything else. I mean, I'm primarily, when I do racing, it's usually on road courses. running at tracks like these is not easy for this long. I mean, a lot of road course races on iRacing, they aren't this long. Usually they're about, half an hour, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit over, but very seldom do you get these races that are an hour plus long. Dustin Payne taking the white flag, seeking win number 1 in the third season of the High Tide Racing League, and seeking his second career win as a whole.
Yeah, it's going to be a great run for Dustin Payne. I said, had the moment, was really great in practice. Had that question moment where he made the contact with John Osborne on the restart, and all went well for him all night long. And look at that gap. The picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, there's the picture right there that says how far of a gap it is back to Dalton Kilroy. Watch it, see if he hits the back of the screen. Maybe not in the camera shot here. I mean, that just explains the gap. One final time down through the inner loop, the bus stop, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a little more on the curbs than I want to be for my last time through the bus stop, but up to the carousel one final time. That's long right-hander. And then here we go, up now onto the banking, down the back straight, and this is basically all but locked up for Dustin Payne.
No problems whatsoever. 5.5 seconds back to points leader Dalton Kilroy. Dustin Payne into the final corner. His first win won him a championship in season number 2. His second win should lock him into the round of 8 as he takes win number 2 of his High Tide Racing League career at the Glen.
Come back here before we get to the finale, and we'll watch here John Osborne on track, the car that had the moment with Dustin Payne earlier. He's back here battling for P10. And this is going to be a long battle here, heading down into the bus stop. Both cars kind of threw it in. Oh boy, this is going to get close, Nolan.
It's going to get real close here. To the inside goes Sean Williams. Osborne up to the outside, and spot made for Sean Williams. He's going to get around Osborne. That was to the 9th place spot, so Williams gets in front. Osborne in a critical position. Does he put the bumper to the 89 to the final 2 corners to get the job done? Doesn't look like he's going to get the chance. So Sean Williams will secure 9th.
It's a great run by Williams there in the end. Here's Jaden Hopp, by the way. He's going to be up here for Craig Martin. He'll get a little bit of a battle here for P11 and 12. They'll come down. And there it is.
And there is race winner Dustin Payne. What a win for Dustin Payne. This is a big one, right? I mean, he has run a very, very quiet season. He was in 6th place already, and this should easily confirm his position into the round of 8.
Yeah, there's going to be a really interesting point system. We'll look at it after the broadcast tonight, be ready to talk about it next week. But lots of people finishing up and down the field here at the road course like I thought would happen. So there's going to be lots of tight battles up and down the field next week at Atlanta. But for the moment, Dustin Payne gets to burn it out up here in turn 1 and celebrate this victory.
While Dustin Payne continues to celebrate, we're going to take a rundown through the rest of the post-race results here this afternoon, as it is a solid drive for Dustin Payne. Takes up his 2nd career win. Dalton Kilroy, Ty Marasco, 1-2 in the points. That's where they'll remain as they finish 2nd and 3rd this afternoon. Benjamin Lacey just missing out on a podium. He's going to be forced to go one more week number 6 now without a podium, as he'll finish in 4th. Brian Dees in 5th. Keith Lee was in 6th. Sikorsky in 7th. Lakey, Williams, Osborne round out the top 10.
Moving back into P11 will be Craig Martin with Jaden Hopp behind him. Jonathan Canfield comes in 13th with Bob Berry in 14th. And then cars 11 or more laps down, Robert Lukens, Michael Ashmore, Scott Shire, and Michael Thorpe Jr. to round out the 18-car field.
So that's going to do it for us here then this afternoon. Let's take a swing down and we'll talk it up with the drivers that come home at the end of the night. And of course, we'll be looking to kick it off first and foremost with Dustin Payne, man of the hour. If we can track down where where Dustin Pink is hiding at. There he is. Dustin Pink comes home. It is career win number 2 for the Pink Precision Auto Glass number 81. Dustin, the last win got you a championship. This win is going to pretty much secure your position into the round of 8. How does it feel to finally take win number 2 of your High Time Racing League career?
Fantastic. I overdue for me. On a road course, kind of shocking, but hey, I'll take it.
It was a very solid drive for you here this afternoon. You put on a clinic up at the front. You were one of the drivers that came down a bit earlier. You were in a battle for the lead, and then, well, when we see you again, you're able to just drive out in front, and you opened up a gap. What was the secret?
Kind of a short pit. I figured Dalton was going to go a little bit longer, and he kind of did. Then I knew Ty was going to go longer, and I think I went like 15 to go, and it just worked out. So I'll take it.
Relatively quiet throughout the regular series season, but making waves here in the first round of the playoffs. How confident are you you're going to get into that final round and go to defend your crown?
We'll see. It just depends on the tracks coming up and how we do. So we'll just see how it goes.
Sounds like a plan. Dustin, congratulations on taking win number 2 of your career this afternoon, and we'll be seeing you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Justin Pink comes home for the driver to Columbus, Indiana. Interestingly enough, Derek took this one a lot through pit strategy. That was the same way he got win number 1. Something to watch out in the weeks coming forward, but Dalton Kilrow will bring it up, number 2.
Yeah, Dalton Kilrow, the driver, I think maybe passed the most cars tonight. Dalton, you had a good first run before the yellow came out, got that speeding penalty, and then drove your way back through the field. Talk to me about that. How do you successfully drive your way back through the field like that?
I got very lucky tonight. Had a lot of help from some guys making some pretty big mistakes.
And Dalton Kilrow still fighting a cough. That makes it more impressive that you did this race in this car.
Yeah,
this
no, I
crap
got that
combo is
speeding
difficult,
penalty.
right?
I was dying down pit road.
Yeah, you and Ben Lacey both got caught speeding, so probably passed the most cars tonight. Obviously, we're assuming without looking, you've locked your way into round 2 of the playoffs with a P2 tonight. Does that make you feel good about Atlanta, knowing you just kind of get to race it for fun?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna feel good going into Atlanta anyway, but that just kind of helps that I was still able to come back, finish second.
All right. Well, listen, obviously having a rough night health-wise. We're going to let you go and get yourself some time to heal up, and we'll see you next week in 1 week at Atlanta.
Thank you.
All right. That is Dalton Kilrow coming in here P2 tonight. And now I think we go and catch up with Ty Marasco. This is the driver last week, Nolan, who thought he was going to start in park, stuck the race out this week. And Ty, I mean, obviously not the win like maybe you had at one point, but a P3 is still a solid run at the Glen.
Yeah, not bad for an oval guy, huh? I mean, like I said before the race, you asked me, and I just wanted to keep on track. I almost did all that. I had a little mess up. Yeah, I got on the brakes a little late into the bus stop, and instead of taking out me and my teammate out, I decided to just lock it up, and no harm, no foul. We finished 3rd. Felt pretty fast. I mean, in the beginning of the race, I felt like, okay, I'm in my own class. Like I was 5th or 6th, and there was a big gap between each position. I was like, all right, I guess that's where I'm at. And then the mayhem on the restart really turned my race around. I got the lead, and I don't know what it was. It was just like car clicked on, and we felt like we were fast enough. I don't know if I would have got around Dalton, if I would have caught Ping or not. Yeah, I think we needed him to mess up to get to him. But all in all, great race, finishing 3rd, and it's been a great start to the playoffs.
Well, you went from a driver who was on the cut line before the playoffs to a driver who more than likely has locked his way into round 2 of the playoffs with a race to go. So does that make you want to race a little harder at Atlanta, knowing that the consequences are less, or what's the plan next week?
I think you just got to keep the same mentality. Try to just keep building on that momentum to push ourselves into the next round. And then once that happens, if we have all that momentum, hopefully we can keep it going all the way through. And then we'll see what happens. And hopefully we can make the Final 4. I think we can do it. At first, I didn't think I was going to even make the playoffs. I knew it was going to be a struggle. And we made it based on 1 point. And then, anything happens in the playoffs. You just got to get there. And Obviously, we've done a good job with a win and a third place to start, and hopefully we can go to Atlanta and just have a solid race.
All right. Well, congrats on the win tonight, and we'll see you next week at Atlanta. Or sorry, congrats on the podium tonight. We'll see you.
I wish it was a win, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll see you guys in Atlanta. Thank you.
There's Ty Marasco in the one car. That's what I got held up on, Nolan. The one car in P3. There's too many numbers around here. I just got it all confused.
Well, Derek, to be fair, we both have that at one point or another, I think, in our careers. I mean, you take a look at this race as a whole. We look at the playoffs as a whole. The championship has been cracked wide open. There's a lot that's going to be, I think, feeling the ripple effect all throughout this race this afternoon. I mean, this is something we don't get to see all that often, right? Such a massive points shakeup. Now, we always get points shakeups when we're in these types of playoff situations, but never to this degree. I mean, you have some serious heavy hitters that are still on the outside looking in. I mean, let's kind of readjust here. Critically, Thorpe's into the top 8 right now. That start in Park could have just saved his championship. He is into 8th place right now. 3 points clear of Bob Berry, shockingly. John Osmond 11th, and all of that is because Connor Gibson, a no-show tonight. He is now 25 points out.
It's going to be a wild race next week. A lot of points to track. The calculators will be moving. The spreadsheets will be updating. And whatever you got, abacuses, fingers, toes, you're going to need them all next week to track all the different scenarios and what-ifs and who's and how's and whys to see who makes it into the second round of the playoffs.
Well, coming on up, before we can get to all of that playoff action, it's week number 4 for the Old SRL Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Beer League swinging after Summit Point Raceway for some rallycross on Formula 1 action, which is going to be interesting to say the least. We'll get more about that event format on the day of. And then it's the SRA Homestead 100 for the SRA IAL Truck Series on Saturday night. 100 laps coming at you from Homestead Miami Speedway. It's a trip a few hours up the coast then to the SRL Xfinity Series presented by Purple Haze Autosports for round number 1 of the Sunday Night Cup Series of 2025 at Daytona. It kicked off February 2nd. That'll be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time as well. For now, if you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name, as always, has been Nolan Rempel. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you when we go racing 1 week from today to close out the round of 12.